live, but because I'm not so good at doing the live thing. Let's see. Before I let Maya in, I'm going to wait for some more of you. Well, we've got about 4,000 people in here. Maybe I don't need to wait for any more of you, but we have a really good conversation to have. There's some real important stuff going on, guys. What do you think? Huh? A lot happening in this country, and we need to stay informed and educated. And one of the things that I've discovered, I don't know about you all, but there's a lot of fear that keeps kind of rising up through me. A lot of anxiety. I feel like my nervous system, like all of us, is really fraught. And between the pandemic and the uprisings and the very important conversations that we are having about the racism in this country and racial reckoning, and this election that we are on the precipice of. And I have discovered that the more that I get informed and the more questions that I ask, the better I feel. So today we have a really exciting conversation planned. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Maya, and then I will introduce her and have her come in. I wonder, I want to see if, so my comments always stop, which is really strange. But should I check to see if she has already requested to enter? And okay, she hasn't. So let me tell you guys a couple of really important things that you should know. So Maya is a lawyer. She is a public policy advocate and senior advisor to the Biden-Harris presidential campaign. She also happens to be the sister of Senator Kamala Harris. Do you guys know that name? Who is on the presidential ticket. And I feel like there are so many, I don't know why the comments stop. It's like they get jammed and I just have to, maybe it is what it is. Okay. I'm looking at some of your comments. She's in here. Is she already in here? That's okay. I can have a conversation and tell people about her before she joins. So here's what I have to say. There are so many incredibly important people and smart people who make so much happen in our world and really keep it moving, particularly in politics and in civic engagement and social activity. And we don't always know who they are. We don't always know their names, and we don't always know exactly what they do. And I really feel that Maya Harris is one of those people. I think she is a hidden political and civic angel or wizard. And she joins campaigns with all the work that she's done and her own vast, extraordinary experience. She joins campaigns and helps candidates navigate the very complex world of presidential campaigns with her vast knowledge. And I read somewhere that someone described her as someone able to cut through the BS, which we all know is needed in our world and particularly in politics. So I am going to see, now I'm going to focus on your comments and trying to see if I can find Maya, because we know this is the area that I get really confused. Hi from Miami. The grassroots organizations, yes, activists, organizers. There are civil rights attorneys. There's people that are hidden angels that are really helping our world to move along, and she is one of them. So Maya Harris, I'm looking for you. So will you might have to leave, Maya, and come back so that I can, there you are. Ooh, that was easy this time. Okay. Okay, I can't believe that happened so easily. I think I figured it out. Oh, hi! Oh my God, that was so exciting how much easier that was than usual.
I was like, oh my God, does she know I'm in here? Hello?
Yes, someone said you're in here. Oh, I'm so happy to meet you.
Oh, me too. I've been looking forward to this. I am so happy to see you. This is truly the highlight of my week. I mean, really.
That's ridiculous, Maya.
No, I'm serious. This is it. This is the highlight.
It's so good to meet you. I don't know if you got to hear what I said about you, but
I did. It was too kind and too wonderful and so generous, and I thank you for that.
Well, I really, it's a really interesting time, isn't it?
It really is. It is surreal in so many ways and serious. I mean, and just so serious. It is like the most serious, important, I think, moment in our lifetime, certainly in mine.
In mine, I agree. it feels really urgent. It feels honestly quite scary. You know, I feel like in the last 7 years, I'm 47, I really started to get engaged in politics and understand how personal they are and how much they affect everyone's daily life. I don't think I took enough civics classes growing up, and I didn't know the genuine day-to-day connection between my life and what I do every day and politics, and how lawmakers affect laws and laws affect how I navigate the world, and what the Supreme Court actually does, and how things that I take for granted, that I imagine and assume are part of the wallpaper of my life, are affected by people that we elect. And so I guess we can, start with the debate. Should we start with how you are after that very, very strange and unsettling debate?
And traumatizing? I mean,
yeah.
You know, yeah, I have to say, well, in general, I'm fine. And part of that is just because we just don't have a minute to waste. We need to stay focused.
Yep.
We just literally cannot get distracted. And so, I mean, in general, I'm good. In general, I'm like, you know, in it to win it. When I say we can't, you know, we don't have a minute to waste, we only have 33 days until election day, which is wild. I cannot believe it's, you know, barely just over a month, you know, and early voting has already started in so many places. So, I mean, the election is on, like, right now. So, no time to waste.
A friend of mine, Kerry Washington, used the phrase for me that this is election season, that looking at it as election day is not appropriate anymore. It is election season.
She's right. And we don't want people to think of it that way, because the other thing is, and I know we're going to talk some more about voting, is that we actually do want people to vote early where they can. And so people need to, like, think of it as like it's on now. But to your question, you know, I have so many feelings. That night, I literally was watching in so many ways in disbelief, in a way, right? Like, there was dismay, there was disgust, there was the range gamut of emotions. I was surprised to have disbelief, mainly because I subscribe to the Maya Angelou school of thought. When somebody shows you who they are, you believe them, and you believe them the first time. And this is a person who has shown us who he is over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But honestly, I never will get used to or be able to be settled in a moment where our so-called commander-in-chief can't condemn white supremacists, and worse this time than not condemning, and I'm going to come back to this time in a second. Emboldening, stand by. I mean, what was that about? And you know, I say this time it's worse because I was talking to some folks and saying, you know, let's not forget. Because I was involved in the 2016 election. I still remember so much about that.
And can we just say for 2 seconds that you were not just involved? What was your role in the 2016 election?
You're so wonderful, Tracee. Thank you.
Just so people know, because I do think you're a hidden angel and a hidden wizard. So
I think that may be the nicest thing that anybody has ever said. Seriously, I'm gonna keep that one and hold it in my moments. But you know, in 2016, he refused to denounced, disavow the KKK Grand Wizard. And I remember the next day he was acting like he couldn't hear the question in his microphone. And so, I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing. And my biggest concern, I mean, look, I was mad for a minute. I couldn't sleep that night. And then I got up the next day, focused, ready to go. We got stuff to do. But what I worry about is the impact it has on other people. Like people, how you were saying you found yourself in activism, you found yourself in politics. For people who aren't going to just get up the next morning and bounce back, I worry about how it impacts them and turns them off, makes people tune out. Well, so I don't know how you felt about it, watching it. I
think we can have that conversation. I think, you know, first of all, because I'm learning and I want to remain teachable, I whip out my notebook. I have them with me. I have stacks of them. I go back through my notes. I had my notebook out in that debate because I was ready to get informed. I was ready to learn something new. I was ready to get some new information, and I couldn't write anything down. But what I did end up writing down is, okay, this is awful. What now? And what I keep going back to is that this moment is up to us. This moment is up to us as the American people to bring this moment where we want it to go. And this is not about a savior. Your sister, Kamala and Biden, they are a great choice that we are going to move towards. We know what we're doing there, but the work doesn't stop with voting. And this is not a moment to get tired. People want us to get tired. They want us to feel disenfranchised. They want us to feel like this is not we can't do anything. There's no point. This is not about me. This is too messy. All of those kinds of things. No, this is actually the moment for us to get inspired, be engaged, to wake up, to be more focused, to do our job, to get engaged and make something happen. And I feel like it is up to us to build this bridge to something new. Because what was there, that was a disregard for something that is ours.
Yeah.
This democracy is ours. We are the people.
Right.
We the people,
Yes.
we the people, we the people. And we have to know our power or it doesn't work. And I think we are encouraging people to vote early so that they have their hands available to help other people. If you can't vote early and you need to go, wear your mask. There's all of those things. And I think we can talk about them and break them down. I think some of this, this moment and the reason it's fun to have a conversation about it is because I hope that this is the conversation people are having. You are a seasoned vet in politics. You know the lay of the land. You have the language. I don't have all of the language. I really am still learning. And there are questions. And I think this is a time for us all to remain teachable and open, but also very engaged.
I totally agree with you. And I'm so glad that you speak to like, this is ours. This is not something somebody is giving to us. This is not something somebody can take away from us. This is ours. But I'm wondering, I've been so impressed, excited, thrilled to see how you have just been all over it this election season. You've been doing voter education programs. You've been helping, doing When We All Vote. You have been supporting groups on the ground. You just have, you showed up at the Democratic National Convention. We were all so excited to see you up there. We were
I was scared. I was scared, Ma. I was scared.
Wait. You did great, and we were just everybody was just so excited. Like that lineup for the convention was fabulous. So glad that you were a part of it. But it's been so important, right? Because this is the most important election. It's such a critical time. And so I'm just wondering, to your point, and hearing your enthusiasm, what are you hearing and seeing as you are doing this in terms of ensuring that we can rally our community and really get that vote out, which is going to be so, so important this year?
Well, obviously because of the pandemic, I'm not out there in person. So a lot of what I'm hearing comes through social media and comes through comments that are there. I think there is an element of people thinking like their vote doesn't matter. There's an element still that exists. There are people that, shockingly to me, are still in support of the incumbent. That is baffling to me and very difficult. And, and there's, and I also want to speak to Black people are the heartbeat of the political process.
That's right.
I've said it. I said it at the DNC. Black women are often utilized but not centered. The Democratic Party has long relied on Black voters and Black women in particular for electoral advantage in key districts. We have so much power and we don't always realize it. And, we live in a society and in a culture and in a country that doesn't show us how much power we have. And we have to look in places we don't expect. Voter suppression is because our vote is important.
And say that again. That is exactly right. They would not be trying to suppress our vote if they didn't know our power.
No. And I hear people say it's a privilege. It's not. It is a right. People died and fought for this right. And I also spoke to a civil rights attorney, I believe it was last week, time is all gone, I don't know, about voter suppression. And one of the things I want to say to people, it's like, if it feels wrong, it probably is wrong. Make a phone call. If you are at the polls, if something doesn't feel right, there are people that are armed with knowledge and information that will tell you what to do in those situations. In that debate, I heard him say, my people are going to watch you. The intimidation is voter suppression. So if you are made to feel uncomfortable, if you are at the polls, if you are made to feel like it's complicated and you can't figure it out, make a phone call. And I believe the number is 866 our vote.
I think that's right. The other thing is for everybody to have in their back pocket is iwillvote.com, because that is a really great resource just in terms of some people are being told they can only vote this place or that place or this way or that way. If people go to iwillvote.com, literally you can put in basic information, find out if you're registered to vote, find out where you can vote, find out if you can early vote.
Perfect.
Find out if you can vote by mail. That is
if I knew how to pin a comment, I'd put it at the bottom.
Yeah. And I don't either. So
that's that. So wait, and then I heard we have a unique ability, all of us, everyone right now, every single person, to take all of the urgency that we're feeling, all of the anxiety that we're feeling, and use it.
Yeah.
I heard this thing when I was young that self-esteem comes from esteemable acts, and voting is one of them. It is not the only tool in our toolbox, but it is absolutely one that needs to be utilized right now. And the self-esteem you will get from that is actually something that will carry you. The same way we need to take the moments of joy so that they can fuel what the work is that we have to do. Let those moments of joy happen. And also take those out. 866 our vote. Somebody just put. That's great. We've got two. I can't pin it. I'm sorry, guys. The fact that I got Maya in here and that I'm sitting here and talking to you.
Yeah, let me tell you, the fact that I am here is like, that was a big development in my life.
The anxiety that starts going before the live, I'm like, ah! Anyway.
But you know what, Tracee, but I want to go back to one of your points about power and voting mattering, because I agree with you. I think for good reason, honestly. Many times people don't feel like their vote matters. And I want to underscore, in 2016, we lost the election based on 80,000 votes. 80,000. And the thing that really for me crystallizes the point about every vote actually does matter is that in some of the precincts that swung the election, the margin of victory was 2 votes, like as in 1, 2, like that is like your cousin and your neighbor, And so when we say every vote matters, it really does matter. And I think in this election, people we already have, a president who is sowing seeds of doubt about the election. We don't want this one to be close. We want a massive voter turnout, an early voting population, and we want to have, a real margin of victory. A friend of mine did an article, just came out this week, and she talked about how in 2000, the year 2000, the election ended up in the Supreme Court because the margin was 537 votes. Well, in 2008, we made sure that Barack Obama had all his votes. There was no question, and we got him into office. We have to have that kind of energy and understanding of our vote, our power, our voice, and why it really, really, really does matter, especially this year.
And I'll say again and repeat in case somebody wasn't here, this is election season.
Yeah.
Election day does not determine the election. Our votes, every vote does. So vote early, make a voting plan, because we all know that things come up and things take us in different directions. Make a plan so that you can integrate yourself into a larger picture than just your own. So you can get your vote in, and then, I don't know, volunteer, support other people, use your hands and your mind to engage your friends, your family, someone else in the line at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be, have conversations. Use the voice that you have to educate and have conversations with people. If you talk to somebody who feels unengaged or like it doesn't matter, have a conversation with them. Have a conversation with them that is actually open and compassionate, and ask them why. There is, people say, I know that I feel this is such an urgent election. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah. Why do you feel it's urgent? What are some of the things that are at the top of your mind and heart that are keeping you up at night and making you get as engaged as you are? Can you share some of those things so that people can hear them?
Well, I mean, that is, I think, such a great point about meeting people where they are. I think we have to really meet people where they are, in this moment. And I know for me, I mean, personally, putting aside my personal stake in this election,
we're going to get to that, yeah.
Putting aside my personal stake, I'm a grandma. Okay, I got 2 little grandbabies, 2 years old and 4 years old, 2 little girls, and they are just my joy. And that is very motivating to me. So like, just kind of taking myself outside of my political experience, taking myself outside the personal relationship on the ticket, I am actually deeply concerned about the future they will inherit.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about 10, 20 years from now. I'm talking about if we have another 4 years under this administration.
Yeah.
Because when you have people who are, when we've got literally, miles and miles of land burning on the West Coast, burning just down. And when you see the storms and the floods and all of that, and then you have people who say, this is not real, this is a hoax, we don't believe in science. These are like immediate issues. These are not like 10, 20. So when I say the world they would inherit, I mean in the short term, if we have another 4 years into this. So I feel a tremendous sense of urgency about that. And I, for me, when I go on election day, I, very much am, casting my vote, not only for my country and for all the issues and the people that I care about, but also really on a personal level as a human being, for them.
Yeah.
Let me tell you one other thing that motivates me a lot. And part of that is also comes from my experience in 2016 is I don't want to be that person who wakes up on the day after the election and wishes I had sent one more email, sent one more text message, done one more event. I don't want to be that person. I want to know that left it all on the field. That's exactly right. That is a real motivator for me. And now we're talking about only 33 days left. We can do anything for 33 days.
We can do anything for 33 days. We have a lot of work to do.
Right.
There's the environment. I feel there's a Leela Watson quote that if you have come here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. I feel like we have discovered, particularly, I mean, it's always been the case, but it's been acutely mirrored back to us right now, that we are only as strong as our most vulnerable neighbor.
That's right.
That my liberation is bound to yours, that those that are the most vulnerable, the most disenfranchised in this country, that we must all be in this so that we all can be free and we all can be safe. There is justice on the ballot. There is liberation and freedom on the ballot. There is safety on the ballot. There is Supreme Court on the ballot. The environment is on the ballot. We have to put, and it's, by the way, it's not just the presidential ticket. We have, you want new laws, you need new lawmakers. And that is across the board. And we say, when women win, we all win. And I think America does better when we're in that position. Having your sister on the ticket, a first time a Black woman is in that position. The 116th Congress this year is the most diverse in history. And we know because everybody says it, but it's true that the more diverse we are, the more women of color, the more people of color, the more LGBTQIA, the more we are represented in the establishment of who is the government, in the government. Right. Lawmakers, sheriffs, all of this that affect us. That is how we have a better country. And I feel like we are on that road. I'm going to ask you one last question because I want to be respectful of your time and everybody's
time. Oh my God, how did the time go so fast?
I don't know, but it's been almost a half an hour. I want to ask you, I think you've said who you vote for, like when you go in and vote or when you fill out your ballot, but outside of your personal connection to Kamala and this ticket, can you name the reasons that you are voting for the Biden-Harris ticket?
Yeah.
And be as specific as you can.
Okay. Well, I am going to say, yeah, no, I am going to say that I'm not going to lie, that no matter who was on the ticket as the nominee or the VP, I was going to vote, and I was going to be for the Democratic ticket. And that's just because there's just too much at stake. So that's a given. I will also admit I'm hella more motivated to like do stuff with her on the ticket. But in terms of specificity, I guess what I would say is a few things, maybe a couple things since we're running out of time. I mean, the first is, what I can say is that both of them are decent, compassionate, caring people. I mean, they want to serve. They have, both of them, spent their entire careers in public service. They have been public servants their entire life and have regardless of where you may be or on a policy question or a policy issue, the one thing that they both have committed and dedicated their lives to is actually making the government work better for people. So we're talking about the government, we're talking about representatives to make the government work better for all people. So I think that's really important. That these are especially now when you see when you have people who are in office who literally, it is not about service. They denigrate service and people who have served. I mean,
and that's what is in the fabric of what is at stake in the fabric of our country right now.
Exactly. So I don't gloss over that. I think that's really important to me, personally. The second thing is, I also think it's important that the two of them are not just talking about getting us back to some, sense of normalcy and competence, because God knows, yes, we need some normalcy and we need some competence. They will do that. We need that. But what they are talking about is us being better than we were before, that there's a recognition there that things were not all right before. Like, they're really bad right now. And it's urgent that we stop the destruction that's occurring now, but that we have to be better than we were before. It's why they talk about building back better. And, you said be specific. I mean, it matters to me that they are talking about increasing access to capital for small business owners and entrepreneurs, with a focus on Black and brown business owners. We just, through COVID, 400,000 small businesses have permanently closed, disproportionately Black and brown and AAPI. And it matters to me that they're talking about putting like $100 billion into the vibrancy of our small businesses, which for us, we are among the most entrepreneurial, and we need that capital. It matters to me that they're talking about home ownership and why they need to have plans to help people get into home ownership and help people with down payment assistance, make sure people can access, appropriate, loans that to be able to buy a home, because the racial wealth gap in this country is actually outrageous, and we need to do something about that. And home ownership has been a way to build intergenerational wealth. It matters to me that they're talking about investing in HBCUs. Kamala's a proud graduate of Howard University. Yes. She talks about it all the time. I think that's one of the main things everybody knows, because she just, she is like Howard HU. And they're talking about, making significant investments in HBCUs, which have been so important, in our community. They're talking about criminal justice reform and the work that we need to do there. And so they have actual plans that they're putting out with transparency that are a starting point. And I say a starting point because
I think that's really important, Maya, starting point. And the dialogue that they're in with organizers and activists and civil rights people who've been doing this work for a long time.
And I'm so glad that you brought that up, Tracee, because that's, I guess, the last point that I would make, which is that, and it goes to something that you said. So I'm kind of coming full circle here, which is which is, this is about more than this one election. You know, I like that Kamala talks about this, about that we have to define what is success and what is a win, right? And if you define it as just evicting Trump, as just, you know, firing, you know, the current occupant of the White House, then success, winning, is just winning on election day. But if you define winning and success, if our mission is about having and creating a more just and a more fair America for all of us, then the work just begins.
Yes.
After we get them elected. And so the point about, even in the process of developing their plans, if they are sitting down with advocates, they are sitting down with people who are on the ground to inform what they're doing now, those same people will and more will have a seat at the table in a Biden-Harris administration. We should expect to have a seat at the table, but I know that we will have a seat at the table. And I think that that's really the most important thing. Like, we got to be engaged now, but we got to be engaged later too.
Yes. Well, this is a part of the toolbox. Voting is a part of the toolbox, and it is the beginning. Without it, there's a different path of work. But I love what you said, and I just want to reiterate it. I'm going to change it a little bit, but you said we get to define. We get to define this moment. We get to define this moment. And I'm brought back to the Stacey Abrams quote that Brittany Packnett posted after the debate the next day. I am not I'm not optimistic or pessimistic. I'm determined.
I'm determined.
And what a statement that is. What a statement that is. What a brilliant way of shifting that energy. It's as if you're asking the wrong question if you're asking if I'm optimistic or pessimistic, if I have hope or if I feel defeated. The point is, I feel determined. And I feel like we must, each of us, really, like, this is not a moment to get tired. This is not a moment to get critical and judgmental. This is a moment to take action. We have to use the power that we have and each of our unique powers to build a world that we envision. And millions of us are that answer. And that happens one person at a time. And I want to say it over and over again, because I feel like it is up to us to stay awake, that this is not a time to get tired. It is a time to get deliberate, determined, and that we each get up joyfully, up joyfully and take up the work of our ancestors. Now is that time for us to do that, to keep building, because we have to vote like our lives depend on it, because they do, particularly as Black and brown people in this country, as those that are disenfranchised, those that are vulnerable. We see what is at stake, and we must get up joyfully, link arms with each other, and move ourselves into this next thing that we get to create.
Girl, I told you this was the highlight of my week. I am motivated. I am going to be out there as a joyful warrior.
Okay? That's right. Let's bring the joy back into this, because, you know, I feel like, Maya, the foundation is shifting underneath us for a reason. It's what we have been attempting to do, because there is foundational stuff in this country that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so we have to keep building that bridge. We have to keep, in the honor of John Lewis, we have to, in the memory of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, let this be a revolution. We have to keep getting in good trouble and keep waking ourselves up to what we can imagine and build it.
Oh, and I'm so glad you brought them up, because oh my God, I just could not agree with you more. I feel like 2020 is testing us. Okay. I really do. To your point, right? Like, I mean, I think that this is testing us. And when I think about John Lewis, when I think about Ruth Bader, they fought so hard for us for so long. And to your point, it is on us now.
Yes.
We need to get up. We need to do the work. Yes. We need to carry on and really create that future that they fought for us for so long. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more.
So I'm so happy to have had this time with you. I wish I could have been with you in person. One day we'll meet.
One day. Let's get them in office, and they'll take care of this pandemic, and then we will definitely find a place.
Yes,
we will get together and continue this conversation.
Continue the conversation and continue the work. I send you so much blessings and love and light, and please pass that right on to your sister and your family. May your hands and
and your minds and your hearts stay engaged and active. We are with you. Our arms are linked with you. And here we go. 33
and right
days.
back at you. Right back at you. Thank you so much. I will see you soon.
I will see you soon.